I've just had my third track day, and it's my first on this 2013 Ducati 848 Evo. She's my new track bike. Now, because I have never ridden her before, she is a statutory write-off, which means she cannot ever be registered again. And so there's not really anywhere I can ride her apart from on the track. So yeah, that's the first time I've ever been able to ride her. So I registered in the induction group, which is the beginner group, just so I didn't have any pressure on me as I was trying to learn how to ride her, and so I didn't hold anybody up. As it turned out, that was kind of a good idea because we had a problem. It's just as well I was in the induction group because the Quickshifter that is on this Evo is a heel tech, and I hadn't done any changes to it at all. It's the settings were as the bike came to me, and they were messing with me for the first 3 sessions of the track day. So what was happening is that I was getting ignition cuts all at the wrong times. In other words, when I wasn't trying to use the Quickshifter. If the toe of my boot just barely touched the shifter, I'd get an ignition cut like the bike was expecting me to shift. I'd also get ignition cuts after I'd shifted for some reason, and I'd even get ignition cuts when I was just revving the bike down the straight and getting up to higher RPM, and I just get an ignition cut without even having touched the shifter. I also got a few false neutrals as well. One was a little bit disconcerting because it was just as I was shifting up to come downhill into a fast corner onto the straight, and I had to ride through that in basically neutral. No issue, but yeah, not a fun time. So the first 3 sessions of the day were like that, just trying to manage the Quickshifter issues. Other than that, I love this bike. Oh my God. Definitely more power than the SuperSport, like not bucket loads, but noticeably more power. And I don't know, even though I hadn't touched the suspension, it was just railing through the corners. I felt so confident on this bike just in my first day. It was unbelievable. Everything really came together after the 3rd session when I was kind of talking to one of the track guardians or coaches, Joel, about the Quickshifter problem, and because he's a mechanic, and he was thinking about it, and we ended up deciding just to disconnect the Quickshifter's sensor wire, I think it was, and then in the next session I just shifted manually without any issues at all, no unexpected ignition cuts. So I got to feel the bike for what it really is, and it was unbelievably fun. I cannot wait to ride it again and have a full day on the track without any of those Quickshifter issues. I probably will spend the time to get that Quickshifter working right, and I know I can. There's an app that I can connect to that will help me decide how sensitive I want it to be and what rev range I want it to work in and a few other things. So I'll do that. But yeah, I cannot believe how confident I felt on the bike just on the first day. And like, honestly, I'm a novice track rider. It didn't feel like too much. I know I can grow into this bike. I know I'm not using it all, but what I was using just felt really manageable, and I was just so surprised at how much my confidence lifted in riding around the track. I know this bike is more than I need, and I know plenty of people would recommend for a novice track rider to start with something really small and build up from there. I don't know. I just love Ducatis, and I really loved the idea of this 848 because I figured it was something not too dissimilar from the SuperSport, which I ride all the time and absolutely love. So I felt like I could at least manage it, and in a way it's a bike I can therefore grow into. That's exactly what it felt like. It was really manageable. The power delivery was smooth and predictable. The throttle was really easy to control and the throttle response was great. The brakes, wow. I thought the SuperSport had good brakes, but these just stop the bike. It's well, they don't stop it, but on the track, but they really slow it down. I didn't change anything about the suspension either. I know in the rear, all the preload's been taken out. I don't know what settings the forks have, but it just felt great. It felt stable. I didn't feel like it was diving. I didn't feel like it was too rigid through corners. I probably went through corners faster than I've gone through on the SuperSport as well. So I just feel so excited that I'm going to be able to grow into this bike and that my next track day is just going to be so much fun. Now, there are a few things that I'm going to change before the next track day. One, obviously, is retuning that Heeltech Quickshifter and making sure that goes okay. The other thing is the actual shift lever itself, where it's sitting, is kind of too high for my foot length, I think. So I'm going to just drop it down a little bit, because what was happening was one of the experiments I did to try and get the Quickshifter to work properly was to just be a little bit more aggressive with it and kind of reef on it. But I found I didn't have the articulation in my ankle to move my foot far enough to really push the shift lever through its full range of travel. So I had to lift my leg, and that just felt a bit disconcerting and uncomfortable and also time wasting. So I will readjust the angle of that shift lever, and that should be a lot better too. There was a fair bit of a learning curve, I guess, in getting Eva to the track. I had to find a trailer, and I practiced reversing the trailer and also loading and unloading her. What I decided to do was kind of clutch her up the ramp. The wheel chock that's in this trailer is actually quite a stiff one, and I can't just push her into that wheel chock. What I had to do was clutch her up the ramp and just keep the momentum going, and then her momentum kind of pushed the front wheel into the wheel chock, which was fine. It was a bit of a rainy day at the track, so all the ground was wet and the track was a little bit damp. So backing her off the trailer was a little bit dodgy. My sneakers were wet and I did slip a little as I was kind of backing her back down. But other than that, I found loading and unloading her really pretty straightforward and easy. Now, Scotty was there with me all of yesterday as my pit crew, which was fantastic. And he was really just there just to spot for me, just in case there was something I couldn't do or in case I just needed a bit of backup on something. But I think at the end of the day, I pretty much could do everything myself, which is great. I can't actually touch the ground on this bike in leathers and boots. I can barely get a tippy toe down, so getting used to her balance was a little bit tricky, especially on the wet bitumen of the pits. But I think by the end of the day, I'd kind of figured out how to manage it, so that'll be okay. Someone had suggested I get the suspension lowered, but I don't think I'll do that yet, particularly on a dry day. I don't think I'm going to have much of a challenge, touch wood. The tyres were great. They're Michelin Power Cup 2s at the recommendation of my mechanic Brett, and I loved them. They felt absolutely fine. Even where there was a little bit of water on the track, I didn't feel any slip at all, really. Admittedly, I wasn't pushing very hard because of being in the induction group. The pace is sort of kept a little bit lower, and also I was often behind riders that are probably a little less confident in the corners, so my own pace was below what I think I normally can ride at. It took probably a couple of laps just to scrub the new tyres in, and after that I didn't even think about them again. And I think they went great. I mean, I don't have a lot of tyres to compare to, but I think the advantage of these is they don't need tyre warmers. They do heat up pretty quickly, and I should be able to get a few track days out of them too before I need to rethink which tyres I'll go to next if I decide to change. So Eva is going back to the shed now where she lives, and I'll take all my track day stuff over there as well and figure out a solution that's a bit more permanent with the trailer. I might rent it a few more times because it's relatively cheap and pretty easy, but I think we might be able to modify the trailer we have so I can get a gate on it, or a ramp, I guess, like this one has, which is great. I like the width because walking up a skinny ramp isn't confidence inspiring for me. The last thing I want to do is lose my balance. So the wider ramp is just great. We might be able to get one made up for our trailer. Suffice to say, I might be addicted to track riding. I just love it. I've never had as much fun as I have had on this bike in particular on a track. Now, I may take the SuperSport back out again to the track. I don't know yet. I really wanted a track bike to kind of preserve and look after the SuperSport and not put it at risk. And because Eva can't ever be road registered again, that's the only riding she's ever going to be able to do is on the track. So it kind of just feels right, and I don't feel worried about damaging her. I was going to get a different slave cylinder for the clutch, an Oberon probably, to make the clutch feel a bit lighter, but I actually don't feel too urgent about that because when I disconnected the Quickshifter sensor and just went to manual shifting, I didn't get a sore clutch hand, and I don't really think I was aware that the clutch was that heavy. So I think I might delay that decision a little bit longer as well. Now, I did have the GoPro mounted where the ignition cylinder used to be, but that was the vandalisation that made this bike a statutory write-off. But with the GoPro there, I couldn't actually tuck in enough along the straight, so my helmet was kind of hitting against the GoPro, so I'm going to have to figure out a different way to mount this. If anyone is watching this video that has an 848 and you have mounted a GoPro somewhere, I would love to get some ideas from you about where else to put it. I could move it forward a little bit, but the thing is, her manual on-off switch is down in there and I wouldn't be able to reach it, so I might have to consider moving that too. But anyway, a bit more thought and I'm sure I'll figure something out. By the way, if you're unfamiliar with these, this is I think it's called a canyon dancer, just to help with the tie down of the bike on the trailer. As you tie down each side, it kind of pulls these cups onto the handlebars more firmly, so that holds that on firmly. There's lots of nice felt there just to protect the bits of the bike. But yeah, it's just so easy to tie it down. Well, that might do it for the update on Eva, the 848 Evo. I'll give you another update when I get a decent full day at the track on her, and I don't know, I'm really curious to see how it helps me progress, but I know I'm going to have fun no matter what. Catch you then.